Oh shit, dude.
Yeah. I was tired. And then
Okay.
I wasn't even in my building. I was all the way across campus.
I got 2 minutes. Can I pee?
Yeah.
I guess we can
Where's
just sit.
that
We can
even
go in a
at?
circle here. She can catch you up on the keys class.
Okay, catch me up on the keys and stuff. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I said, what'd you say?
He said to catch me up on what happened in Nikita's class. Ooh, Jesus, I hate this one. You said what?
I was like, which one? I was there too.
Oh, whatever one had the lady with
Oh, the
money.
presentation?
Yeah.
Because I heard a little bit of it. So basically, it was just going over one of their master programs that they're offering. And they have it's some type of program they have set up where they give you kind of like a grant or some type of money that they're giving out, and you can use it towards whatever. I guess they have 3 different programs, but you can use that money towards whatever you want to use it for. So whether you want to use it for school, for a car to get back and forth to your internship, or a job if you have a job you need to get to. It was some stuff like that.
Because these always come with something. What is the for
catch.
example, the Great Minds thing, we got to work at that institution for a year after.
You always got to work somewhere.
So for the grant, so what's that grant asking for?
You can have that chair. I like this one better anyway.
Yeah, because this one, every time I sit in there,
Well, this one, you can have back support. That's what I didn't like. This one, ugh.
Yeah. You know how your chair might be doing.
You've got a group of 3.
Who's the third one? That's
Online.
her. There's nobody online.
Oh.
She's usually online. Which class was this? Did she do it on all her classes? Because I know they have presentations in general practice during.
Oh, Nikita?
It was the one, general practice one.
Oh, okay. Then I don't know if she did it in both after people presented.
I don't think
I
so.
don't know, but I
hijacked her class, but it's $20,000 for the advanced training program or $30,000 for the 2-year program.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It's a good deal, man.
I guess what I do after really depends on
what you want to do.
No, it depends on when I plan on doing that 1 year, that behavioral health thing. Because if I go to college you could do it anywhere in Columbus for real, but I don't know if my school's going to be in Columbus or not. I'm in Ohio, actually. So if my school's in Ohio, then I'll go ahead and
recording in progress.
Wherever, because I guess there's multiple institutions in different places in Ohio. So I guess if I go to a school in Ohio, then okay, I'll figure that out. But if not, then I'm gonna just have to wait to do that 1 year.
Oh, I think I do need to run it from my Central State one to do the AI overview, but that's okay.
Where is the class? Where is everybody at?
They might be in the room I sent the announcement to.
Oh my goodness!
So let's just let her run her group. What?
No!
What? Let her run her group.
I'm gonna see if anybody in there first. What? I'll be back.
Well,
I'll be back.
so much for a 1:00 presentation. I think she's talking to somebody out there. So are you doing any specific group? There you go. Exercise therapy. I like it. I need more of that in my life.
Yes.
I'm not getting enough steps, all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I decided to do because I kind of got into it more so after I had my son.
Mm-hmm.
It became more of a therapy for me. And I never really seen myself get into it. I'm like, this actually helps, so maybe it's the good one.
Do you graduate this year too?
Next year. Because I still have to do my hours.
That's right, the practicum. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you also UPP?
No.
Okay, or Great Minds?
No.
Okay.
Wait, what is UPP?
It's where you do the child and family services, and they've got money now, and they give you $5,000 after you do 1 year after you graduate. You could do it while you're in grad school. Karen's in charge of it. You take Child and Family 1, Child and Family 2, then you do your internship at JFS, and you do 1 year after you graduate. So they'll hire you at like $50,000 when you graduate for a year,
Oh, wow.
and they'll pay for your master's. So it's not a bad deal. It's just
That isn't a bad deal because I actually used to work for them.
oh, well, there you go. So if you can make it 1 year, I know it's hard, but Karen,
Yeah.
if you ever taken Karen Johnson Jordan's class,
So, nobody
No.
showed up.
Well, they
that's
should.
why I'm saying we're the ones. We're the group.
But I didn't know that none of our people were in that class. Like, even in that class, nobody from this class is in there.
At this point, we're used to it. So you all tell them they will likely be failures in the field of social work. Just tell them that. Just tell them that. Say
I'm
you
gonna
don't
ask them
show
where
up.
they at because I know they was at
Say if
class.
you don't show up and you don't watch the YouTube and sign your name, you will fail in the field of social work. Just tell them that. Talk some shit and get like poke a fire under their ass. So they're like, okay, fine, I'll go to class.
I asked them where they at, but I'm gonna sit here because I ain't gonna lie, I don't want to be in a class full of people I don't know. So
Right. Well, we'll go there at 1:30. Like I
yeah, but I'm all comfortable with you in there. But nobody from this class is in there, and I don't know them people.
just
who are
text
in
them
there.
all and say you will fail
I texted them.
in life. You're gonna fail.
I ain't say all that
You're
now.
gonna be homeless, living under the fucking bridge.
No,
Okay.
I just said where y'all at. Paige's talking about the bank. I guess you could have did that any other time,
The bank is more important than
right?
your
Like, come
future in
on, like, I
social work.
guess.
We're gonna let Miss Charlene Austin present.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, so I did. Well, can you see the screen?
We can, yes. It looks
Okay.
good too. It's full screen now, and it's on YouTube,
Okay.
and it's being
I'm
Child,
recorded.
let her present.
She asked a question.
And you started going on a tangent.
So I'm doing my mental health group on exercise therapy. What is exercise therapy? Exercise therapy refers to a structured use of physical activity within a group setting to support and improve the mental and emotional well-being of participants. It focuses on enhancing mental health outcomes such as reducing symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress, while also promoting social interaction, self-esteem, and overall psychological well-being. It encourages peer support, social connection, and shared motivation as well. So I went over clinical benefits of exercise therapy. I broke it down to psychological benefits and the physical health benefits of it. So the psychological benefits, it reduced symptoms of depression and anxiety, improved stress management, which means it's helping regulate the body's stress response. It's a boost in self-esteem and confidence. Achieving physical goals in a supportive environment enhances self-worth. Encouragement from your peers can reinforce positive self-image. Enhanced cognitive function improves focus, memory, and executive functioning, which is helpful for conditions like ADHD or depression. Social support and reduce isolation. Being a part of a group reduces feelings of loneliness and builds a sense of community and encourages communication, empathy, and social skills. Some of the physical health benefits, you can get better sleep, it regulates sleep patterns, which are often disrupted in your mental health conditions. Increase energy and motivation. Physical activity boosts natural energy levels and help combat fatigue, which is common in depression. Improve physical health. It helps manage your weight, blood pressure, and other physical health factors that often coexist with mental illness. And healthy routine and structure encourages consistency, responsibility, and time management, which is important for recovery. So some of the conditions that can benefit from exercise therapy is like depression, anxiety disorders, PTSD, bipolar disorders, schizophrenia, substance use disorders, and eating disorders. Causes of mental health issues. Some of the common causes is biological factors, which is imbalances in brain chemistry, genetics, or hormonal changes that impact mood and behavior. Psychological factors, trauma, abuse, or long-term stress that affects coping ability and emotional regulation. Environmental factors, life circumstances such as poverty, social isolation, or unstable family environments. And substance use, alcohol or drug misuse can trigger or worsen mental health conditions. Some of the diagnosis, clinical assessment, a detailed evaluation by a mental health professional, including like interventions and observation, diagnostic tools, standardized questionnaires you can use, and rating scales like the PHQ-9 for depression and the anxiety questionnaire. Diagnostic guidelines from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders used to classify and define mental health conditions. Types of exercise therapy. You have aerobic therapy, which consists of walking, running, cycling, resistance training, weightlifting, and anything to move your body weight. Flexibility and balance, which consists of yoga, and mind-body interventions, which can consist of pilates and breath work. And this is more so like the last slide. Since I'm not physically there, I didn't know. I kind of just put multiple things to whichever works best for you. Things that you can either try in a classroom or even try at home, like stretching and doing deep breathing, wire stretching, walking affirmations, walking slowly around the room or in place, saying positive affirmations like I am strong, I will succeed, or just any affirmation that you feel. Balancing challenge, try balancing on one leg or walking heel to toe and reflect on what helps me feel balanced in life. You can even march in place and think of things that you're grateful for. And which is kind of a good one. Well, I say one thing that works best for me when I during the summertime, I would take me and my son, we'll go on a walk in the trail, and I would kind of reflect on things that I'm grateful for, or just blessings and just positive affirmations. So that really helps. Also playing calming and upbeat music and move freely. So whatever that consists of for you, which is whether it's dancing, you can listen to calming music while you're stretching, working out, or whatever your body naturally feels as the music is playing. And then that's my work cited.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Awesome. Do you guys have any questions?
No, that was really good.
Life? Are you demanding that she show her face?
No. I ain't seen her face since the beginning of the year. It's okay.
I don't even have a camera on this monitor that I'm using.
Nice.
I'm using my work monitor.
I didn't know that. Yeah, because I know in Nikita's class, I'm like, I've never seen what she looked like.
Yeah.
And you have gone to the presentation we're about to walk over to that has $30,000 to fund you for graduate school. Or if you do an advanced standing, $20,000.
In the advanced state, was that the 1 year?
That is a 1-year program.
You was on the flash or you had practice?
Oh, it's on like right now?
Yeah.
Cap?
Oh, does that mean something that we're supposed to know?
What, this?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Ready? You
It's
wanna
what
see?
it's
I
what
heard you didn't. I heard you couldn't keep your water, Mr. Chop. I heard you couldn't keep that water. What's going on? Like, I specifically emailed you and told you not to tell.
I
the
think
class.
I was reading it out loud and I'm like, oh, he said, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, that was after he had told us. I said, apparently it's on
Like,
Did you get a haircut for it too?
I don't want to do that.
You want to be honest, you don't look bad with it.
So he's got the cane
Like, I
that he's
ain't
going to
gonna lie,
hit you with.
I didn't know how you was looking at your hair. And they said, because Ariana, I guess, had seen you before the probate, you got all y'all's pictures. And she was like, yeah, Daddy don't got his hair no more. I said, Daddy don't got his hair, but you don't look bad.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions for Charlene? Oh, we got 2 online. Okay.
She did good. Cause
Nope. One of them logged out already.
they just want to put their name.
Yes.
Probably pay
We're
them
going to Stefan's
at
class.
the bank. Okay.
I got him next.
I know
What
you
are
do.
going to him for?
But
we got,
the graduate scholarship
class?
opportunity.
Human growth and development.
Would you rather go
that's a social
to?
work class?
Nope, psychology.
Would you rather go to?
Let me have a water.
Because I would bring these two. I kind of want to film her on this.
Oh, the lady?
What are we going to his class for?
Wait, so what are you asking?
Since you have them next, you don't have to. But Miami University has 20,000.
Also, I'm gonna be doing it at his class too.
Right. Right.
Wait, what if I go now and I don't have to go to his class?
I mean, if he pulls it off that way, should we go?
We could go, if you want to go, then sure.
Because you can tell him, like, dude, I already went.
Yeah.
All right, let's
I didn't
go.
Can you
I
definitely
didn't
record it?
know-
Because I didn't get all the information
go
from
in
the
there,
first
I
time.
know.
for the
Okay,
first
I'll
time.
bring this YouTube live
That's why I
over there
texted
right
you,
now.
I asked everybody.
If that works.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yes, that works.
Okay. All right. We'll see you on the YouTube live.
Okay.
Thank you.
Like, mom,
Let's go.
like the color.
Let's go. Say let's go. We just got to sneak in the back of his damn class.
Yeah, this Karen Johnson, she
Not like-
she didn't want me to leave the room.
Like, if it's boring in there, I'm leaving. I'm gonna come back to it.
Oh, you are?
No, I'm saying, hey,
Dude,
I gotta
dude,
smoke the cig- like,
what
let me
if
smoke the
it's-
scenery first? Like,
But what if it's $30,000? How much is a cigarette now? 50 cents?
a cigarette?
Yeah.
I'll smoke weed.
I thought that's what you said you were going to go smoke a cigarette.
No, I said I'm leaving the class. I said let me smoke the scenery.
They didn't do it.
Huh?
You smell nice. I used to be trolling like, he got issues. When your parents acting like this,
Oh,
See, they know I have issues. too.
no.
Hello. Doing good.
I thought you was coming back.
GIS map that kind of shows all the different partners and subtraction locations. They vary though, right? So it depends on the agency, like do they already have an intern? Do they need interns? Are their staff super new and in need of kind of like a year to get training themselves before they start supervising? So I'll pause real quick because I know we have a group coming in. Sorry guys. You're good. So there's a lot of flexibility there as well. The kind of trade-off then for getting all this funding, right? Because you're walking away with between 21 and 30 grands covered for your master's degree. The trade-off is that they ask for you to work in a high-needs school for 2 years post-graduation. If you know that you want to work in schools or are interested in working in schools, it's a great fit. If you're not sure that's what you want to do, I tell people that it's definitely worth considering because working in public education, especially like K-12, it's going to set you up with a great foundational, like with some great foundation skills for whatever field you then decide to go into later on. You are working with kids, which means you're working with families, means you're working with resource needs, you are working with mental health concerns, you are working with people experiencing families in the juvenile or the court system or the prison system, medical issues, attendance. You can run into literally everything, right? And so it's a great way to kind of get familiar with different fields and interests and kind of build from there. My focus right now, one of them, other than helping students get placed in their practicums and kind of like mentoring and supporting through the program, is to build up a set of resources and supports for finding employment post-graduation, right? Because we all know like that's a whole thing. So that's something that we'll also be there to help with is finding that location. It doesn't have to be in Ohio, which is awesome because we have students who like go to Michigan or Illinois or Kansas or just Cleveland, right? Like, and I meet with them and kind of help identify different schools and partners and everything in that area that I would recommend they kind of try applying to, which is really nice. And then we survey students for about 5 years or so post-graduation, just to kind of see where they ended up, get an idea of what barriers they may have faced, if they didn't face barriers. A lot of our partners want to hire the interns out of graduation, which is really nice, as long as, you do a good job and don't get sent away from it, which is not common. But So yeah, I'll do a quick cliff notes. I know we had some students come in. Allison Sears, Master's Social Work at Miami University. We have a school-based mental health cohort. If you are a bachelor's level social worker, you can get your master's in 1 year. You get like 4 and 1. If you have a undergrad in psych or soc, there's opportunity to get a 4-in-1 degree by taking a couple social work classes in your undergrad, and then doing like summer, fall, spring, like intensive sprinter. And for non-social work undergrads or anybody that just wants to do like a slower track course, there's the traditional program, which is 2 years or 3 years if you do part-time, and it's fall, spring. That's any program in social work. And then for school-based.
So for that, like, is it like a certain requirement? Like, so is it like a 1 year accelerated master's program? Kind of like how Ostate got stuff like that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know Ohio State's program, but
is it like you gotta have like a B or above in each of your social work classes to qualify for it?
So the current graduate school parameters for Miami University are 3.0. That said, it's open for engagements. Like to make the program more accessible and equitable for students, we've added like there's no letter of recommendation required. They'll consider, like, let's say you had a terrible first 2 years GPA wise, and then you really kicked it into gear the last 2, and that shows on your transcripts. That absolutely goes into consideration. There's a lot of, there's plenty of research and evidence out there that shows that you can be successful even if you had a rough start to it. And so we do try to take that into consideration. But obviously you have to academically be able to.
Do you got like any like a pamphlet or something with like the requirements on it?
I don't have that with me, which I realized on my second spiel today, but it's all on Miami's website, which I will send that link specifically to the professors that you can see, but it's kind of like on the social work page, you can see everything that it requires.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're considering an advanced standing, you do have a May 1st deadline each year. And if you're considering traditional, then you have an August 1st deadline each year. So there's like the two kind of keep in mind. I always recommend applying at least a semester in advance because if we're preparing you for practicum right out the gate, like you want that few months to be able to have those conversations and interview for those places.
So is it like also like y'all pay for the PhD? They want to get that too, or is it just the master's?
This is just the master's. So what I was saying is so with a master's degree in licensure, that's kind of in social work. Like that's the high. That's what people look for. That's what they employ you for. That's what they're excited about. If you want a PhD, there is a DSW, but it's not necessarily like career-wise required and for you to be hired into the jobs that you look for.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know why that is. It just has been that way.
DSW is more research
Yeah.
focused. Is that
Yeah,
why?
doctorate in social work. There is a PhD in social work also, but to get your clinical license to assess, diagnose, and all that, the MSW is all you need.
That's the way to go.
For employment, if they're trying to find someone that can do diagnosis, that can do assessment and everything, the master's is, what they're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's great, if you do decide to do like a research or a PhD route at post that for your interest, that's amazing. I will eventually, hopefully, probably do it, but that's more for me and not because I need it necessarily for jobs.
All right.
I would say the school-based was the last thing I was feeling. That's where the funding is for my program. So that's the K-12 school engagement piece where we're helping you place in a K-12 school for your practicum hours with the idea that you're going to work in a high-need school for 2 years post-graduation. That's like an actual job, of course, but you're getting $4,000 a semester for classes towards your tuition, and then you're getting $4,500 a semester that you're in practicum to help either you can use it to pay for tuition, you can, I said, get a car, pay bills, rent, whatever. That's your money to your bank account to decide what to do with.
Another question. So I'm a social work major and I'm minor in Spanish. So what's like the international like
What's that look like?
yeah, like what's it look like down
Yeah,
there?
so I'm bilingual Spanish. That's how I ended up kind of in this field. As I moved to Cincinnati and was doing college and career advice and working on the west side in Price Hill. And they were like, "Hey, we don't have any Spanish speakers at Dater High School." So that's kind of what kickstarted it for me. I will say, in terms of going international, there is an entire international social work kind of field. There's we actually have a fundraiser tomorrow because Miami's trying to launch a global social work program that does more international focus. It's not in place right now, but we have a student, Deborah, who's international studies social work double major. She's lovely. I love her. So it's kind of that question in terms of like at Miami. And then for career wise, I mean, schools, especially when you get towards like closer to cities, they have high MLL student populations, higher immigrant populations. So if you're looking to stay local or another city around the US and work with Spanish speaking families, like that's absolutely something that can be looked into. I know we have districts that we partner with that have high need students that speak two languages or are learning English. It depends on kind of like where you're going with that thought.
Yeah, like now I don't really want to work in schools.
Yeah.
Like I'm more like community based. Like I want to work like with internationally, like with community. Like I don't know, like maybe like natural disasters or like just stuff like that. Like
You're talking like IRC, like
yeah,
big
like
picture
I'm not trying to stay like
organizations.
in one area. I'm trying to like
Yeah, yeah. Well, so you could absolutely go to any program, get a social work degree, and try to prioritize getting a practicum that goes that direction. I did the Office of Refugee Resettlement in Cincinnati for that very reason. I did not like that organization, which is why I did not stay doing that. But that's just me, and I'm constantly looking, not right now because I just got this job, but one of my top companies I was looking at was International Rescue Committee because they do huge work. Albert Einstein founded that one. They're like international. So that's something to look into. I will say if you're looking for a program with funding and you consider the school-based, that's still really good foundational prep for working with international families and community, especially if we were to get you a practicum, which would be doable with a school that had that population. Because the more you're able to build that experience on your resume to then apply to work at these bigger organizations that are harder to get into, that's kind of
right.
because we're talking global organizations, right? Yeah. But I would look at to see if other schools have global social work programs or national social work programs also, if you know that's where you want to go. Yeah. Questions? Sorry, no, we just like dug into that one. No?
Well, what's it like being a social worker in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's so broad. We were talking about this earlier with the class. It's kind of like some people go to school to be like a mental health counselor or a licensed clinical counselor, and there is that in social work. Those tend to be much more narrow because you're just going to be like clinical counseling for the most part. Social work is a like person and environment, like whole broad picture kind of mindset, right? So that's one thing that I think some of the sociology and psych students maybe grapple with when they're making the transition is there's a high like social justice and advocacy component that goes into social work also, especially when we read through the code of ethics. It's a good way to understand what social work is. But career-wise, I think it has a much broader application because even when you're clinically working, you're looking at students and not just kind of the mental health and diagnosing piece, but you're looking at everything in their environment that's contributing to what's going on, and you're including that in your thoughts. Not everybody does that in every program. You can also go into HR, you can go into child services, you can go into higher education. More and more organizations are including in their like position descriptions, like we're looking for these masters and or social work. It's becoming more and more popular. Dr. Trout was saying earlier that prior to 2012 and the Affordable Care Act, it was a lot harder, but since then, I mean, the market for social workers has just kind of expanded. There's medical social work also. Sure, there's environmental, international is a big one.
I know I want to work with juveniles.
Yeah. I mean, so we've got, even though ours is school-based, we have a partner that has like a juvenile branch of theirs. And so what we do, because they're kind of in between, right? So we have our partners that are traditional school, where you're going in, you're working with a school counselor or social worker, and you're doing the whole school. We have our community-based partners who are basically therapists in buildings. And so we're placing students with them. And then we have a couple organizations that they're placing you in a school as like a therapist sort of role with a caseload, but they have a wide reach of services. And so you're able to get hours like visiting those alternative spaces. So I have another student that's juvenile justice focused, and so she'll get to go to some of the court stuff, do some of the juvenile justice or juvenile youth focused work. Yeah, so there's ways to kind of tweak our funding opportunity to sort of fit those needs as well. It just kind of depends case by case. And if you're like, no, I don't want to do school at all, I just want to do juvenile justice, then that's totally a thing too. You just like look for a internship in the courts or with a juvenile center.
Okay.
Yeah, I know we have some students that are placed there, so.
To the point of the broadness of social work, even if sometimes our idea, if we're not familiar with what social work is, it might be kind of narrow. And if you think about it as being an expert in people work, right?
Yeah.
Working with other people, this master's really opens you up the door to a master's in social work in general, opens up the door to a lot of positions where basically you need to just be able to know people really well and help people.
Yeah.
All right, whether that's in an HR department, like was mentioned, or whether that's in a school, or whether that's in government, whether that's
Hospital, really
wherever it
anything.
is. We have a lot of technology just blossoming all over the place, right? But being able to work directly with other people, that's hugely needed. All right, and that's, I think, where we're seeing this big kind of surge, and we need social workers. Get us social workers. That's where that's coming from.
I would agree. I've jokingly, but not so jokingly, said to students, I was like, I mean, once the robots do the work, like who's working with the people, right? And so, I mean, it sounds like I'm saying it kind of jokingly, but I do mean it too. And you think about the boom for EQ that people are looking for, and that's what social work is in a way, right? Like we are able to work with people. We are emotionally like intelligent and available people. So yeah, I think that's huge. I had another thought and then I lost it, but I was gonna say there's tiers of it too. You'll learn if you decide, if you are in social work or you go into social work, you can think of it this way too, like the micro, right? That's where you're working like direct with clients, kind of one-to-one. Meso is more like your groups and families kind of work, or if you're bigger picture minded, that's your macro lens. That's, policy advocacy. That is, Miami, I would say, is traditionally more of like a clinical, like micro meso program, but it's a generalist program, which means they do cover all three. I was probably the only one in my program that came in with like a macro mindset. I knew that's what I wanted. But that said, in a year-ish, I will be independently licensed and I will also do therapy on the side. And if I wanted to, I could open a private practice down the road. So you can go into community-based mental health. I mean, that's what I love, is that the opportunities are endless, because I'm also somebody that doesn't like to be, I like to have options.
With regard to placement, if you find a place that, like, what would be the requirements if they haven't worked, if a particular location hasn't worked with Miami before?
Oh, mostly it's working or talking to me. So I met with Zola earlier, right?
Okay.
And she's in a school, and it's like a charter S style school that hasn't worked with us.
Yeah.
But they meet the the economic disadvantage, and they meet the not having behavioral health specialists in the building
Okay.
requirement. Those are the two
Yeah.
parameters that our grant kind of picks places on. And so I'll just meet with the principal and the person over the school,
Right.
and she'll get employment based, which is something you can do. So if you have a job already working in a school or youth facing kind of high need capacity, then you can, we can do an application for employment based with the practical director, so that you can keep your job and double dip, which is
Right.
nice. And there are also some of our partners who, it just depends, right? But some of our partners do offer paid positions, or if you're billing clients, then they'll give you a cut of the billing. Yeah, so that's nice too.
Sorry. I was going to ask about the locations again, for those that may have just been coming in and it wasn't registering yet.
Is there one in Illinois?
No, so we don't have campuses in Illinois. Are you from Illinois?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, that's pretty far. I don't know why I was thinking Indiana for a second, but yeah, we don't have a campus in Illinois.
But you do
So
have one in Indiana?
No, but if you're in like the border of Indiana, it's like an hour to Oxford from there, which is still a drive, but that's about what I commute every day.
If you do your MSW here, there, anywhere, you can get your license in Illinois.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
it's CSWA accredited.
Yeah, so you don't have to, even though I live in Kentucky, I did my license in Ohio. That's just where I work and where I mostly
Right.
practice, and there's reciprocity, I believe,
Right.
that's something you consider, but, so you would, you find a year potentially like to try and stick around and do it, but,
Can you speak to that again? Is that like simultaneously while you're taking the classes that you're working, or is that after your, like, as far as the clinical placement
Yeah.
piece?
I mean, your placements are happening, if you're advanced standing, so you've had a bachelor of social work, you've already done your foundational and your bachelor's, so your master's, you've got 2 semesters more to do. So you do have those practical assignments while you're also taking classes. That's why classes are in the evening, so that you can work your jobs and go to your practicums during the day, and then go to school in the evenings.
Right.
And hybrids, that's every other week.
And so if you, like, let's say you lived close enough as far as drive-wise, either you were close to Dayton or you were close enough to Oxford as far as a drive, what you're looking at is if you applied I want to say the grant plus the stipend, you don't have very much of anything left as far as your tuition.
Yeah.
And you're driving to school in the evening every other week. Is
Every
that
other
right?
week, yeah.
Yeah.
That could be a couple nights every other week, but
Yeah.
you've got weeks
Yeah.
off, which is nice.
So that's pretty amazing compared to
Yeah.
what I had access to when I was.
And I will say, I have not done this yet, but I know we talked about it when I was doing my practicum because I lived in Kentucky. I was like, what if I wanted to get a placement in Kentucky, like close to where I lived? Technically, that's an option. So it would be like a little wild, but we could figure it out. Like if you were like, I live in Illinois and I will drive in like every other week for classes, if we could figure out a placement in Illinois. I don't know how easily we could do it, but we could definitely try.
Because if you live close enough, you don't have to use that $400 stipend for your housing. You just put it right back to your tuition.
4,500, yeah. Yeah, which is great. That's what I think most students do is they just put it
Yeah.
straight to the tuition, but yeah. You have other questions? No, it's just like kind of a factual spiel, but
For those that are unfamiliar with what a day in, day out as a social worker looks like, how much detail can you give as far as like, this is what it looks like when I walk into the office in the morning, and this is what I do, during the day. I know that it's different from
yeah,
one office to the next, but as you said, like a lot of it's case management and everything. I've got a large background in case management stuff just with psychology.
yeah.
And so, I think a lot of people don't know what that looks like and even what the variety looks like. Can you speak to what your end of the variety looked like?
I would say I can try.
I can get Dr. Trop next and I can speak to it myself.
Yeah, because again, it like really just it hinges on what you were doing. So I would say for my practicum and refugee resettlement, I was going in every day and I was with the with like the higher needs families, and so I was helping families with like high medical illness needs and large families, and that could go anywhere from like scheduling medical appointments to kind of like counseling, just like they're having a hard day. And I would do this with an interpreter a lot of the time too, which was wild because those families were typically Arabic or French speaking. I would do school avoidance meetings. Like I had some truancy, a family experiencing truancy. So I was having to explain that and then go to meetings with school social workers, a lot of basic needs resources for those families. Sometimes employment, kind of what are your options finding employment. So that one really varied. And then school, I loved working in schools. I mean, it's every day is different. So I would say as a school social worker, there's a lot of truancy. So you're doing your attendance intervention meetings, reaching out to families. There's connecting families to resources. You could be doing crisis intervention if a student is in crisis and they're not on the school therapist caseload or the school therapist isn't available. You could be doing one-to-one check-ins with students. We've got my colleague at my last school started small group. We had a partner doing grief group counseling once a month, and she would sit in on those as well. So that really varies. And then on my end, mine was more community engagement work. So I was doing like going to the PTO meetings, going to the community council meetings, advocating for families in the school or in the neighborhood. Or I would like one year I was in Clifton with like a fancier elementary school that was magnet. So they had families from all over the city. And so it was a lot of advocating around like ethical decisions people were making and being like, hey, can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, and here's why. Organizing resources and programs for that community, that kind of work. So I would also do some crisis intervention if nobody else is available, but that's just like those two
Speak a little bit
experiences.
to what day in and day out looks like as a counselor. Yeah.
The most important is that you get your degree from an accredited university. So Central State is one. We offer the BSW, which could allow you to get the 1-year master's. It sounds like Miami even would let you do close to that, a 1-year master's with a psychology degree, which I'm jealous of. I was a psych major. I had no idea what I wanted to do in life as a psychology major. Every single person asked me that, and I would get triggered by it. Like, I'm just going to like be a psychologist, okay? And like, I getting the MSW shortened that time length. Instead of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in a doctorate of psychology, I was able to do that in 2.5 years. I got my MSW at University of Kentucky. I did the practicum, so it gave me job readiness. That's even what we do here your senior year. You do your practicum. You would learn how to be trained in assessment, diagnosis, treatment planning. Almost everywhere you go, you want to do that. Same thing a psychologist could do. Dr. Akins was saying some psychologists in some states can prescribe medications. I actually didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Mostly in psychology, you're assessing, diagnosing, and treating.
Yeah.
I always thought the medical doctor, psychiatrist did the medication. That's the only difference I can think of. In social work, we don't do medication prescriptions either, but I've done homeless advocacy. I've worked at Claremont Recovery Center, where I would see maybe 5 clients. Yeah, excuse me. Also, I've worked at Ohio Mentor. There I saw some sex offenders. I worked at Lighthouse Youth Services where I worked with families. So it's, you can do the whole variety. I currently work at a hospice and I clinically supervise there. So families that have someone in their family that's like 6 months or less. You're connecting them with like burial resources or even setting up their funerals, things of that nature. So you can do so much with your
Yeah. And
social
somebody asked earlier too about like if you do the school-based, are you like, is it like getting specialized in school-based? I'm like, yes, in the fact that like that's what your experience is in, but your license isn't tied to that.
Correct.
So you can expand, you can change, you can kind of do whatever you like, whatever direction you want to go in. You're not limited to just school-based from then on, but you can in the future kind of pursue those other specialized certifications and whatnot. So like addiction counseling and substance use disorders have like specialized certifications you can get. Or if you're really into private practice or the clinical aspect, I know EMDR, DMT, motivational, like all these different modalities have additional trainings you can do to get specialized. Then if you go into private practice, you can charge a bunch of money if you want to.
And it's a good training and a way to have your graduate degree paid for. Like every year, different cycling of whatever is specialized at the time has a way to fund your graduate education. And it's great to take advantage of it and apply to whomever and see who gives you the most funding and what you want to do the most. Because you can use it anywhere you want once you graduate. You get an LSW and then you get your independent license. So it's a way to get your schooling paid for. Also.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would just say, oh my gosh, what was I going to say? That's fine. It'll come back to me.
To the point of billing folks money for your counseling and everything, one of the things that may not be clear, what the license gives you is the ability to have an insurance company pay you for the services that you're providing somebody. All right, so you're not just saying, hey, I'll I'll tell you, I'll help you out, give me some cash, all right? It's not like that. It's like your insurance will actually pay me to help you, all right? That's huge because people don't have a bunch of cash to give. But a lot of people do have, not everyone, but a lot of people do have insurance, right? So, yeah.
Do you need to major in a social work or psychology major?
For your undergrad?
No, I'm talking about just for that program.
Yeah. So it's a social work program. So the school-based program specifically is tied to the Masters of Social Work. Yeah. What was your undergrad?
With an undergrad, you don't have to.
No, your undergrad could be whatever.
Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, because I'm an exercise science major.
That's
I'm
okay.
interested in the program.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
can
mean,
totally-
there's somebody who's considering, he was gonna start this year, but he's kind of like on the fence because of his family stuff. But he's exercise science undergrad and he was gonna go for a social work master's. So yeah, your bachelor's does not have to be in either of those. You just do the traditional 2-year program, would be your option, but still that's 4 semesters, summers off, with the stipend and scholarship opportunities. Yeah. Your first semester would be only the $4,000 because you're not doing practicum. So you have to come up with the rest of the money for that one, but the rest is.
Repeat that part again, sorry.
Yes, if you're in the traditional program, it's 4 semesters, and so you're not doing practicum that first semester, and you're only getting the $4,000, but
Okay,
you're getting the
All right.
full $8,500 between
Right.
the two, the next 3 semesters that you're involved.
Okay,
And that
so
comes out
you're-
to like
so
30
your
grand.
first semester, you'll generate a bill.
Yeah, you're generating about half the bill.
Yeah.
But, and say, the only thing I can think of is, we obviously want you to come to our program, that's why we're here. But that said, our grant goes to December 2027 with potential to be renewed. And if that were to not happen and you're in your more like a freshman, sophomore age, I know UC recently got the grant. Dr. Trout knows more about that. So that's something you could look at also.
They do offer that. Is it a 5-year program there also?
So I don't know.
Okay.
That's the one thing is I just came from Cincinnati Public Schools, and when I talked to Manisha, she kind of was like, "We're still figuring things out."
Right.
But
Good way to have your grad school paid for. Anybody want to go to graduate school here in this classroom?
Like there or just like a general?
in general,
In general, yeah, just
Yeah.
in general. It'll double your pay. Usually,
Yeah.
like going to grad school, you'll get double the money.
oh, I would never have been able to like career change
Right.
from where I
Yeah.
was to get.
So you said all you need is what, a 3.0? So is it like if I got a 3.7, so it's like any benefits with that, like having more than a 3.0?
There could be other financial like scholarship opportunities that you could look into to kind of help offset like any other fees. That's more complicated. I always recommend calling the university's financial aid office at Miami. It's one stop, and they can kind of walk you through that and maybe other opportunities.
So how much would I have to come out of pocket?
So I don't know off the top of my head. It depends on what track you're in. It depends on, but I'm gonna kind of do that math and then send it over to Dr. Trough to share with everybody. So like baseline, if you're on the advanced standing, here's what it would be. If you're in a 4-1, here's what it would be. And if you're traditional, here's what it would be.
So advance is what, 1 year?
Advanced is the 1-year sprinter if you have an undergrad in social work, which
Okay, so I would qualify for the
you
advance.
qualify for that. If you wanted to do, what year are you?
Junior?
Junior, so you got time, great. If you decide you wanted to apply to Miami for it, and obviously like you can apply and then change your mind, right? So I always tell people apply and then decide. Apply before, I would say before the spring semester, before summer you're going into, because we're having those practical conversations. So you want to be able to like not be just slotted wherever I can fit you. You want to have opportunity and choice.
So New Year's Eve apply before December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
So
say
like,
like,
can I tell you to remind you or not?
Can I remind you?
yeah,
You
can
want
you
me to run
put it on
this
your
forward,
calendar
don't you?
right
No,
now?
I'm saying.
I could. I mean, I could be a life coach too. I just take on.
Yeah. Do you have other questions? No, you guys are
Not
good.
from your insurance, yeah.
It's a great opportunity, but it just depends on like what you're looking for in your life and if it's a good fit. Yeah. Cool. All right, I feel like that really took up more time, but
My intro, guys, you have a test on Wednesday. I'll post it on the D2L. It'll be available after class. Our
okay, people are like
lecture
chatting,
on
so I don't know.
Wednesday will cover treatment, therapies for psychological disorders. That will be on your exam. So make sure you're there for that class.
See ya.
And then you'll have your exam. That's available for 24 hours after.